December 17, 2017, 12:38 p.m. Deep in an underground utility service tunnel beneath Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, Mayor Cosm Reed and Georgia Power engineers watch a catastrophic failure unfold. A piece of electrical switchgear suddenly arcs and violently combusts. The chemical electrical fire burns so hot it melts the thick rubber casings of the airport's primary high-voltage power cables. But the real disaster hits seconds later. Engineers had inexplicably routed the multi-million-dollar emergency backup cables through the exact same physical tunnel as the primary ones. The fire melts those too. The world's busiest airport instantly goes pitch black. Over 30,000 passengers are suddenly trapped in complete darkness for 11 hours. Delta Airlines is forced to cancel 1,400 flights. An economic machine that generates $66 billion for the state of Georgia halts entirely, resulting in a quantified $40 million loss for Delta in a single afternoon. If the world's busiest transit hub can be completely paralyzed by a single localized fire, what other catastrophic vulnerabilities are hidden beneath the rest of America's mega airports, and what lengths will the authorities go to in order to keep them running? Places like Atlanta, Dallas, Fort Worth, Denver, Chicago O'Hare, and LAX are not mere transit hubs. They are autonomous, fragile micro-cities operating on the edge of critical failure. Dallas-Fort Worth alone spans 27 square miles. It operates with its own police force, its own municipal designation, zip code 75261, and 14 miles of high-pressure dual jet fuel pipelines hidden underground. These massive facilities rely on a hub and spoke architecture, a system designed for efficiency that instead consolidates overwhelming risk into single geographic points. But if physical infrastructure is this fragile, what happens when a single person decides to attack the digital brain of the system? How did one telecommunications contractor with a pocket knife manage to erase the entire Midwest airspace in less than 5 minutes? September 26, 2014, 5:40 a.m. Brian Howard, a 36-year-old Harris Corporation telecommunications contractor, walks into the basement of the FAA Air Route Traffic Control Center in Aurora, Illinois. He pulls out a knife and physically slices through the crucial communication cables, linking Chicago O'Hare's radar scopes to the outside radio towers. He then pours gasoline over the server racks, throws a match, and attempts to slit his own throat. As black smoke pours from the vents and alarms blare, air traffic controllers looking at their screens up above see the airspace instantly freeze and go blind. Centralized radar nodes act as the nervous system for the hub and spoke architecture. When Howard destroyed a single basement room in Aurora, he severed the primary communication link for the entire region. This localized sabotage effectively erased the Midwest airspace from the map. Chicago O'Hare was crippled for weeks. Over 2,000 flights were canceled, causing an estimated $350 million in economic damage to airlines and stranding hundreds of thousands of passengers globally. If the aviation industry requires this level of massive, uninterrupted expansion to survive, how do they legally erase history, bulldoze the dead, and wipe entire neighborhoods off the map to make room for heavier planes? December 2011. Heavy earth movers idle at the edge of the 160-year-old St. Johannes Cemetery in Bensonville, Illinois. The graveyard sits directly in the path of Chicago O'Hare's new runway 10C728C. Behind chain-link fences, forensic anthropologists in hazmat suits begin physically exhuming over 1,000 graves. They lift rotting 19th century wooden coffins out of the frozen Illinois mud, while descendants protest just outside the perimeter. On the West Coast, the Los Angeles Department of Airports executed a similar expansion. To grow LAX, they bought out and entirely demolished the luxury beachfront neighborhood of Surfridge. Today, between the runways and the ocean, a massive fenced-off wasteland remains. Eerily, the original street lamps, were never disconnected from the grid. Every night, they still turn on, illuminating old paved streets and empty foundations where hundreds of homes used to be. Aviation expansion supersedes municipal borders and sacred ground through the legal weapon of eminent domain. Authorities possess the power to forcibly acquire and flatten anything in the path of a runway to accommodate increasing load-bearing engineering demands. At Hartsfield-Jackson, Atlanta, engineers used this power to construct a fifth runway directly over Interstate 285. They built a massive concrete bridge that now supports the landing weight of a fully loaded, nearly 1 million pound Boeing 747, screaming down at 160 miles per hour, directly over the heads of morning commuters driving in traffic below. If these mega hubs have the sheer legal and physical power to reshape geography, what happens when their massive concrete footprints begin to mutate the physical atmosphere and poison the biological environment? Summer 2023, Dallas-Fort Worth. The temperature breaks 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The sheer volume of concrete stretching across 27 square miles creates its own localized thermal updrafts, a phenomenon known as the heat island effect. The ambient temperature right above the tarmac climbs so high that the asphalt softens and aircraft tires physically sink into the pavement. The extreme heat causes the air density to become so incredibly thin that certain regional jets literally cannot generate enough lift to take off. Airlines are forced into frantic weight restriction protocols, bumping passengers just to get the planes off the ground. This environmental mutation extends deep into the soil. For decades, major hubs like LAX and Dallas, Fort Worth conducted mandatory crash rescue drills using aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF. A 2020 study by the Environmental Working Group revealed that the chemical runoff from this fire suppressant had leached directly into the earth. The result is catastrophic levels of forever chemicals, known as PFAS, permanently contaminating the groundwater surrounding these airport micro-cities. If airports will alter the weather and poison the earth just to keep planes in the sky, what is the grandest engineering marvel in aviation history, hiding in its subterranean tunnels that forced its management to manufacture a global conspiracy theory? Spring 1994, deep inside the dark subterranean tunnels beneath Denver International Airport, Chief Engineer Gene Dipple and BAE Systems executives watch as a $230 million prototype automated baggage system initiates a test run. The robotic telecars, designed to move at 20 miles per hour along an underground track, suddenly lose synchronization with the central computer. A car fails to slow down on a curve and slams violently into the rails. Its hydraulic jaws unexpectedly trigger, ejecting test luggage into the air, shredding the fabric and spewing clothes, shoes, and golf clubs across the concrete tunnel floor. These automated telecar systems were supposed to revolutionize baggage handling by replacing human labor with high-speed robotics. Instead, they physically ripped luggage apart and completely failed to route anything correctly. This disastrous test forced the city to delay the opening of the airport by 16 months. The delay cost the city of Denver $1 million per day in interest alone, totaling $480 million, and nearly forced the municipality into default. The ruined system was never fully functional and was eventually abandoned to rot in the dark. For decades, widely circulated conspiracy theories have claimed that Denver International Airport was built by the Illuminati, or that the massive lower levels house secret FEMA concentration camps. The hidden truth is that airport management and public relations teams actively lean into and encourage these conspiracies, even hanging up posters joking about aliens. It serves as a brilliant smokescreen. The massive underground bunkers are not for a shadow government. They are the embarrassing graveyard of a catastrophic, failed $230 million robotic baggage system that almost bankrupted a major American metropolis. America's 10 largest airports are not monuments to efficient transit. They are autonomous, toxic, expanding entities on a knife edge of engineering hubris. From redundant backup cables melting in single tunnels to bulldozed cemeteries and ghost towns, to $250 million robotic graveyards buried beneath the Rockies. These hubs are entirely too massive to fail, yet terrifyingly too complex to control.